We didn't build the Northwoods Kindred because we wanted a Viking club. We built it because modern heathenry was failing us and other people who needed it the most. And someone had to step up and do better. They stole the tongues from our ancestors. They burned the god poles and sacred groves. They buried the bones of our ways under stone churches and foreign thrones. But the old ways didn't die. They hid among the traditions that live on still today. Godi Bodvar and Gidja Skogel are husband and wife, souls bound for over 3 decades. Walking the old road in a modern world, we live our faith out loud through kinship, ritual, and real talk. No gatekeeping, no dogma, just the work, the wisdom, and the way home. This is the path to remember who we are. This is the Northwoods Kindred podcast. Welcome to Northwoods Kindred podcast number 43. Today we're answering the questions that people ask us the most. How do I join the Northwoods Kindred? And even bigger, why did we create Asatru Global?
By the end of this episode, you'll understand the story behind what we're building, the problem we saw in modern heathenry, and why we chose to do something about it.
Hell yeah, let's do it. So how and why we started the Northwoods Kindred, and why it isn't just another kindred. So what's so special about us? What makes us different? You know?
Well, it's our kindred.
Well, it's our kindred, right? So, the Northwoods Kindred started as it was our answer to not having the Gallahorn Kindred anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Not that anything happened with Gallahorn, but we had such great memories and we built such a great, just a great kindred, right? Loving, supporting, and everything. And then everybody just kind of dispersed around the country.
Yes.
So we didn't have those in-person gatherings anymore, And you could talk about how great those were when I was deployed, right? When you had that and I didn't.
Yeah, I mean, I had that available to me, just that that kinship and that family unit that I really didn't have in the blood relations that we had.
I think everybody can probably identify with that. Right?
Yes.
I don't think you got to over-explain.
Sadly, they can.
Yeah.
But yeah, it just came to a point where we had to decide to get up and lead a kindred, because we certainly weren't finding what we were looking for. Nothing that came even close to Gallahorn.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, especially here, because everything was so dispersed. There's a couple of pagan groups around here, but it didn't. I mean, they're good enough, I guess, but it wasn't the same, right? And we figured we had enough experience with being a part of Gallahorn that we could probably do something decent. So I called a pagan that I knew, a local guy that I'd known for some years, and we just kicked it off and we started it. We had no intention of doing this. There was not supposed to be a Northwoods Kindred podcast or a YouTube channel or any of that stuff when we started.
No, we were out there for about a year before we started any of the online stuff.
Yeah, in fact, things were just kind of going so good. We're like, hey, I wonder if anybody else would benefit just from the experience that we've had, over 30 or so years. Or I think maybe at that point we were just getting close to 30, right? I don't think we were over 30 years yet.
Total practicing, not just Gallahorn.
Yeah.
Yeah. We were just getting close to 30 years.
Just touching on 30. So we're like, well, we got a lot of experience here and we know a lot of the key players. Why don't we just share some of that experience? And we started the YouTube channel, like with fire, and it took off pretty fast. And then we kind of petered out.
Yeah. If we could go back and start that all over again, I think we would do a little bit more online, like peeking around and seeing what was out there, because boy, we got hit with some UPGs and just some verbiage that we didn't understand.
There was terminology that we weren't used to, because coming up in the 90s when we didn't have the internet so much, and then being away from it all for so long and just basically focusing inward on our own family and kindred. The terminology got us. But I think like when we first came out, we got a lot of just hits.
Yeah.
There was just a lot of stuff we didn't know how to navigate on the internet. And we learned that stuff, a lot of it the hard way. And sometimes we had to back up and lick our wounds, So.
And, a good example of that is just when we were practicing on our own, there were no Lokians. Like we came out and it's like, Loki is, not really part of our practice. And boy, we got hit on that because
Yeah,
there's
that hit pretty
Lokians
hard.
everywhere.
But you know what? The thing is, we never disrespected, because I remember in the early days of going to gatherings, and some of those dipshits would be like, "Oh, the Porta John," and they'd put a sign up that says Loki Hoth, and we'd take the sign down and be like, "This is bullshit." You can't just do that. We don't have to honor Loki, but we don't have to dishonor him either. We can just let him do his own thing and deal with it as the hits come. And so I remember in one way defending, Loki's name in that respect, just not giving him meat and shit. So, but yeah, so that was definitely a big thing that had evolved. But also, we didn't have Vanatru and Rocketru and all that stuff.
Yeah, we didn't have any of that.
All those things were brand new creations as far as we're concerned. But we're getting off topic. We tend to do that. But we created the Kindred, and then we decided to take it out to the public. And that's where we started to see that everybody else needed that too, right? They needed support. They needed, information, where to look for information, something to decide what sources were valid and which weren't. And we started doing that. And then the big question was, I love what you guys got going on. How do I join?
Yes, we got a lot of that.
How do I join the Northwoods Kindred? Huh?
How do I join the Northwoods?
That's probably the most asked question. Forget this online crap. I want a physical Kindred. How do I join Northwoods? It's like, well, where are you at? I'm in Minnesota. Sorry, bud. That's too far to come together. Yeah. We stretch from middle of Washington over to the middle of Montana. And
I think that's where we started our Discord channel, knowing that we had to connect people around, not only the country, but around the world.
Yeah, I kind of lose track of the order in which we started all of this stuff,
well, because we had the YouTube and the Facebook and Instagram, because those were familiar to us, but yeah, I think our daughter said, "Hey, why don't you get a Discord or a TikTok?" And boom, we were out there.
Yeah, I think TikTok came before the Discord.
It did.
And TikTok's been a blessing and a curse. We got a lot of recognition with the Mind Gothi videos, which happened completely organically, which was really beautiful, And then there were a couple of like Mind Gothi copies, other people that did it, but it kind of petered out pretty much. And we kind of lost momentum with it as well. But TikTok turned into a damn cesspool. We have TikToks, both Asatru Global and Northwoods Kindred have TikToks, and we post like little snippets of gatherings and rituals and stuff. But we pretty much walked away from any kind of instruction on TikTok because there's always some yokel that says that you're doing it wrong, and maybe we are doing it wrong.
But there's always
that for us.
But there's always other people that are like, you're doing this, like this speaks to me on such a deep level. Like, how do I do this? And how do I?
Right. And we're like, hey, join our Discord and we'll talk to you. Yeah, because we don't want to talk too much on TikTok because that's when all the cartoon characters come out of their little play palaces and start dragging everybody down. Which is why part of the reason why we started Asatru Global is so we can start uniting, unite the tribes, get the kindreds together, and get everybody talking. Everybody that's serious about it. It's not like in LARP mode, LARP mode 4 or whatever,
Yeah.
So. I mean, I don't have anything against LARPers. I think it's probably fun.
I love dressing up sometimes, but like most of the times.
But when we dress up, it's. I don't consider that LARPing because we're not live action role play. We're not playing a role. No. We're doing the work, right? Yeah, we're dressing up. We're putting on a costume per se, but we're actually going out and making sacrifice. Sometimes of live animals, right? And drawing blood, and sometimes we're using mead for our sacrifices, and we're doing these as close as we can replicate or understand these ancient rituals, right? So it's not role play because we're not playing the role of Vikings. We're not pretending like we're raiding Linsfarn. We're going out there and we're making sacrifice to the old gods. We're doing the work, right? So it's
Yeah, we're just shedding that the modern trappings.
it feels
Sometimes
right
it does feel
sometimes.
right.
Since we make so much of our own stuff, it just feels right to put it on and be like, hey, we didn't lose all the lessons that you taught us. We still know how to do this. We're still capable of making our own clothes and feeding ourselves off
Mhm.
the land and
Well,
doing these things. That's not role play.
no,
It's not like our armor's made of foam, you know?
yeah, no, and there's also a lot of intention when you're dressing like that, and I know a lot of people can relate to that because they put that mindset on when they put their hammer on in the morning.
Mm-hmm. Some people do. Yeah, they put
Mhm.
their hammer on in the morning. Some people sleep with it on and shower
Yep.
with it on. Some people take it off to sleep and put it on in the morning with a prayer or an intent.
Yeah.
And that's how they get in their mindset. Some people, it's funny because I think you should be allowed to dress for ritual if you want.
Mhm.
Obviously, we don't make any kind of requirement. People dress however they want when they come here. But when you get up in the morning, you put on a personality, right? In the
Right.
morning, you put on your personality and you put on your uniform so you can go to work. And I don't care if you're in service or not, but like me, when I work, whether I'm working at one of the various different retail outlets I work at, I always wear a collared shirt.
Mhm.
Not a requirement. I wear a
Yep.
collared shirt because I'm a adult and I want to look like an adult, right?
Yes.
I don't want to wear a holy t-shirt with some weird words on it or anything. I want to wear a collared shirt and look like a professional, even if I'm not in a professional field. So I essentially put on a uniform because all weekend I'm wearing a t-shirt or a sweatshirt, right? But
Right.
when I go to work, I want to look professional. So that's a uniform. And when I go out to do ritual, I want to look professional. So I'll put on a tunic and a hood and maybe a stole, and I'll just put on this uniform for that environment because it feels right and it looks right and it makes you feel like you're in the role correctly.
Mhm.
That's how I do. That's
Yeah,
why
and
it matters to me.
and your personality switches with what you wear, and then it also
Mhm.
depends on what you're doing. Like if you're out in the shop,
Right. Yeah. If I'm in the shop, I have a whole different uniform for
Mhm.
that. And it also changes my mindset. As soon as I put on my respirator and my welder's hat and I go to the grinder, it's a whole different mindset. I'm not thinking about the same things I'm thinking about when we're doing a procession walking out to blow. Right.
Yeah.
That's a whole different mindset.
But I mean, you did when you made the sacrifice blade, right?
I did. Yeah.
Yeah,
I put
you
a
had
lot
a
of
whole different
intention in
mindset
it.
there.
I did. Because we have sacrificed our own sheep, which before you get up in arms about it, we do not condone people doing that.
Yeah.
But we live on a homestead. We have livestock and we have to kill that livestock for food. That's part of our lifestyle here. And if we're going to do that, we might as well do it in prayer, basically,
Mhm.
right? We might as well do it with reverence for the animal and for what they're giving up so that we can eat and they had a good life and we
Yeah.
treated them well. And but in doing that, since we like to take things to the nines,
We do.
I built the blade that we use for that based on some other knives that I've used because I used to teach exactly that. I used to teach animal, not sacrifice, but animal slaughter for a survival course in the Marine Corps with, goats and chickens and rabbits. So, various different types of animals. So I built our sacrificing knife, not based on some historic replica that I saw in a magazine, but based on my own experience in using a blade to do that job. So, and it just turns out that it's really a really good design for that.
Mhm.
And you know what? Truth is, we're coming around to where we can start working back in the shop again. And
Yes.
I'm probably going to add that. I have some tweaks to make, but I'm probably going to add that to my line. So we'll have those available for kindreds that are rural like us. I do not condone a kindred in the city to go buy a goat or a pig and go out to the public park and try to cut its throat and make a mess. It's like get training. If you want to do it, I say it's a good idea, but it's definitely not necessary. And if you're really going to do it, if you're really going to be serious about it, then invest in training for it. Right?
Mhm.
There's plenty of people that can teach you how to do it. Go out in the country and find a farm and ask them if you can help them the next time they do a slaughter. I guarantee they'll want the help.
Yeah.
Right?
Okay, so I'm going to reel us back in.
Yeah, do that for us.
So let's get back on track with this episode.
Yeah. Well, so we were talking about what kind of makes the Northwoods Kindred special.
Yes.
And it's because we live it. Now, I can't speak for other kindreds. Some do, some don't.
Mhm.
But what makes us special in our own minds is that we live Asatru. Everything we do every day has some sort of a a connection to the gods, to our ancestors, to the spirits of the land, right? To
Right.
the Vetir.
Yeah.
Based on what we know from being in Asatru for so long, the modern Asatru isn't really serving its people.
No.
The personalities that are out there are, I mean, they have these great like groups around them, but they're essentially just cults of personality,
Mm-hmm.
and they're not really serving the greater community. So that's sort of why we started Asatru Global, because the idea behind it is that we can bring not only kindreds together with individuals that are looking for kindreds, but bring kindreds together to sort of consolidate our ideas and decide what we think as a community is the best for the community without all the infighting. We could, I mean, if the community had to function entirely delegated by the whims of TikTok, we'd have to go another 30 years. Right?
Oh, at least.
I mean, we're basically 30 years with Asatru in America is basically just about 30 years old.
Yeah.
No, 50 years old.
Or 50 years old. Yeah.
Just about 50 years old.
And we should be so much farther.
Yeah.
We should be so much farther.
I mean, if you think about Mormonism, like it didn't take it 50 years to grab a foothold in the West, you know? As soon as it was invented, it took off running because they got together and they decided, here's our leader, here's our dogma, this is how we're going to do it. I don't believe in dogma.
Dogma is one of those buzzwords.
It is. And I don't believe in dogma, but I do believe in structure.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that they can be separated. They don't have to be the same thing. And here's the bottom line is that we started Asatru Global. We will create structure.
Yes.
Because that's what, if we decide to go down that road, the prison ministry requires structure.
Mm-hmm.
We've already gone down the road. We're already supporting military DRGLs and kindreds, and they require structure.
Yep.
There's no way around it. You can't just be like, oh no, you're Asatru, you can just do whatever you want. Hey, chaplain, make sure you know that your pagan guys can do whatever they want. That's the rule. They'll be like, no, that doesn't work for us. Give us something to work with here. So that's kind of why we started it, and we're already supporting some military groups with reference letters to their chaplains, with structural layouts for seasonal celebrations and how to conduct bloats and rituals. If they ask for it, they don't ask for it, they don't need it. But if they need our help or they want our help, we're there for that. And that's kind of where it's at, you know.
And that's something we can do for them quickly too. They don't have to like spend the next year proving, you know.
Yeah, right. Yeah, you don't have to join our organization, pay a fat fee, and then spend a bunch of years proving that for the military guys, it's just like, what do you need, man? You know?
Well, I mean, you say that, but you talk to them. You talk to them.
Oh, yeah. We're talking on the phone for sure. Because, yeah.
I mean, you get a good sense of who they are before you're just, fixing the name.
Yeah, because I write a letter to the chaplain saying that I have limited experience with this individual, but, they seem to come from an honest place. They have an honest intent, and they seem knowledgeable about their path and the way that they're conducting it. And we're here to support that.
Yes.
Not that they represent us, but we're here to support them in what we're doing. And that's kind of the whole idea behind putting Asatru Global together and not just expanding the reach of Northwoods Kindred. Northwoods Kindred will always be Northwoods Kindred. It's a handful of families that come together to honor the gods here in physical person, Yes. And then we lend that name out to the podcast, the YouTube channel,
the Discord tribe,
our store. But I think that's already an overreach. Asatru Global is its own organization, and it exists outside of Northwoods Kindred to bring other people together. And then the fact that Northwoods Kindred is an LLC and Asatru Global is a 501c3, right? So there's a big distinction there between our missions and our goals too.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So the gap really between what people need and what currently exists is huge. So we're here to kind of try to close that gap and fill in some of that stuff. And you guys know what I'm talking about. Even if you don't like us, I'm sure there are things that you want to know, need to know, would like to have, support that you would like decent ordination.
Yeah.
A decent ordination. There are other organizations that do it, but you have to invest a whole lot of time and money and resources into getting that ordination. And then it's only really valued by that one single organization. Whereas Asatru Global, I'm not going to pretend like we have a plan yet, but we but we have some ideas that we're working on to make it accessible to people and not overburdensome, right? And then hopefully if we can align with these other organizations and come together, then we can support each other. And, and the people that they ordain, we can recognize, and the people that we ordain, they can recognize, and we can all come together as one greater community, right? The Baptist church on the corner recognizes the minister from the Baptist church down the road, recognizes the minister from the Lutheran church down the other road. They're all friends, and they all recognize each other's authority within their own communities. And I don't think that's too much to ask.
No, and then you also got to figure they all have a basic structure. Like, doesn't matter whose church you're going to, there's a structure to it. You know that when you go in, this is going to happen, or it might be different orders. And so that would be something I think that would be really nice to know, is how to go into a bloat. Like, there should be structure to that. Well, I mean, heathenry is growing,
It is, yeah.
The leadership maturity hasn't really kept pace with it.
That's a fact. Yeah. Well, I think part of the reason that the community hasn't really kept pace, the maturity of the community hasn't kept pace, is because a lot of the old farts like me, and like you, and people that were doing this in the 90s when everything was face to face, when it started to drift more and more online, for one, a lot of people our age aren't as savvy online.
No, they're not.
So they're a little bit intimidated.
Yeah.
And then when they jump into a chat group and they're like, oh yeah, I've been practicing for 30 years and this is the way we used to do it. Everybody's like, you're a racist. And it's like, whoa, what? So, you know what I'm talking about. So we see it, and it's like, maybe some of those things are really pushing out any of the old timers that have a lot of experience in building kindreds and having relationships between different organizations, right? Because for one, a lot of the symbols and the language and stuff has been co-opted. We guarantee that. If you want to join a community, we'll put in the link down there, a link to our Discord.
Sure.
You can do that. Maybe make a note of that. So we'll put a link down there to our Discord. Go jump in our Discord and see if you like it. Now, be advised, though, it is an Asatru Discord. So you're, all around the realm of Norse paganism, Norse animism, Germanic paganism. It's all good. But if you come in with like a lot of Hellenic stuff and, Luciferian stuff, it's not going to go well. Nobody's going to treat you bad, but you're not going to get a lot of interaction, because we kind of just filtered all that stuff out recently, because it started to become overwhelming for us. And that's not why we built the space. We built the space to help people learn how to do Asatru. Right?
Yes.
I guess it's the way to look at it. So, if you resonate with this episode, go ahead and share it with someone who you think is, serious about Asatru or Norse paganism, and then go follow that link to Discord that we'll put down below. Going back to like modern Asatru, I think that one of the critical failures that it has is it doesn't have any pastoral leadership, right?
No, it doesn't. You have a lot of people, calling themselves a leader and giving the title of leadership, but they don't really know how to lead people.
Right. Since there's no standard, anybody can just jump up and say, I'm Gothi this or Gothi that. And I know I use that title too, but I'm the Gothi of Northwoods Kindred. My people call me Gothi, and so do a lot of people on the internet. I don't use that willingly. I didn't just wear it. I sort of earned it. I've been mentoring under a really, really good Gothi for many, many years. But forget about my resume on that. I don't care if somebody calls themselves a Gothi, but they have to understand that that's a pastoral job, and it requires service. So you have to be leading someone, right? And you also have to be available for those times when people lose children or parents, or jobs, or they're just depressed and they can't figure out why, and they need someone to talk to. You have to fill the role that used to be filled by a pastor or a priest or their minister, right? Because it's a ministerial job. You can call it a Gothi, but that doesn't shirk the responsibility of being a minister or a pastor, because you are the religious representation for those people. You should have some kind of an idea about how to lead, about how to counsel, how to comfort, right? And help people through hard times. And if not, then you should probably seek some training in it. There's plenty of online courses.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
There are.
I took a course recently from Johns Hopkins University online for psychological first aid, which is basically a psychological triage for disaster. So if there's um, a, a disaster in our local area, I can volunteer as a disaster counselor and help people get the help that they need, because I'm certified in doing it. And I'm also in college now for, working on my bachelor's degree in psychology. So that helps also as just
Yes.
um, as a thing. But I think if you're going to take on the role as a go thee, you should be more than just the cartoon character front man of a group, but you should actually have pastoral experience and some pastoral service to your people, right? If not, what is it, just a Pinterest pagan? Like take a bunch of cool pictures and you know what I mean?
I do.
Because we see it a lot. And I'm not trying to bag on anybody, but if you feel that I was picking on you, then maybe look at your contribution to your community, because I'm not picking on anybody particularly, but I see it from different angles all over the internet. And if you're not the person who your community can actually lean on, but
Well, there's so many like brand new pagans that just come on the scene, and they're there for a couple of months, and then they're trying to lead, and they're leading people in sometimes wrong directions, but different directions, or down different faiths, and it's not the correct way to do it. You really need to get a lot of information under your belt before you start leading people.
yeah, I think there's two ways to do that though. There's some people, for some reason they have to have some sort of a title or a position of authority.
Mm-hmm.
So they've been on the path for a year and they're like, hey, this is how you do this and this is how you do that. But they couldn't possibly know in that there's just so much information. You can't possibly absorb it in that amount of time. So they shouldn't be in a leadership position. They can say, this is how I do it, right?
Yes.
And I'm willing to change my ideas. But instead, what they do is they say, this is how you do it. And then they harden their position by not being willing to accept any criticism of that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or any other information. And that's sort of a critical failure we have too as a community, is that the first way we learn how to do something generally hardens into the way that we do it in the right way.
Yeah. And I think, going on that with people asking questions, and the newer pagans are usually the first to answer because they want to impress others around them. When some of the more mature leadership might be busy at the time and can't answer first, so those that haven't been around as long should maybe wait and
take a back seat and
and just see what some of the answers are coming in, and then give their 2 cents.
Right. Now the other school of thought is like sort of the old, hey, I'm just starting here, this is my journey, come along with me and learn with me.
Yes. Yeah.
I think that's perfectly okay, because it really lets people feel not so alone when they're new.
Yeah.
They're like, hey, I'm new and I don't know what I'm doing either. But somehow or another, within a year to 2 years, that I'm brand new and this is my journey turns into I'm the authority and this is how you do it. And anytime you say this is how you do it, you've immediately overstepped your boundary. I would never tell you that this is how you do it.
Right.
I only tell you ever that this is how we do it and it works for us. The moment you say you're doing it wrong, you've overstepped your authority, I think. Even as a kindred leader, if I told my own kinsmen, that's not how you do it this way, then I've already overstepped my authority.
Yeah.
My authority is only to say, this is why I do it this way. Why are you doing it that way? And maybe find a middle ground. But I don't know how many times my kindred's been like, hey, Gothi, why don't we do it this way? Sounds legit. Let's try it. And we go and we experiment with it and we do it. And sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. But anytime you try to tell anybody else how to do it, then you've overstepped your authority. And that's the problem, because that means we have no standard of ritual competence or literacy, right? There's no standard.
And I know, like, finding those newer pagans that are trying to educate the really new pagans, and they might get it a little wrong. I don't feel right coming in and calling them out in front of everybody, because it's like they're still learning and they're trying to lead.
Well, I'll give an example. I feel comfortable giving this example because they left anyway.
Okay.
But we had one on our Discord, and it was like, "Oh, hey, it's Yule," and they posted a meme, which we don't do on our Discord anyway.
Mm-mm.
But it was a meme, and it was basically 12 days of Yule, but it was a dressed up version of the 9 Noble Virtues.
Oh yeah, okay.
It was
I
like
remember that.
one or two things, and then the 9 Noble Virtues, and then a closing thing. And I'm like, hey, we don't really do that here because it's like, I guess all of those words are okay independently, but when you consolidate them as the 9 Noble Virtues, it takes on a different meaning because of where it came from. So we don't generally do that there. And they had, laid out their resume of all of their cultural standings, right? All the things that they are and aren't, and then why it was okay for them to do it, and it can't possibly be racist because of who they are, right? And I'm trying to be a little cryptic about it because I don't want to call anybody out, but I said, well, that may be, but that's just not the way we do it here. And they said, okay, deleted their post and left.
Yeah.
After saying, I don't know what happened, my post just disappeared. Somebody must not like me. I'm leaving, and then delete, and then left the thing. And then I look back and I'm like, okay, they deleted their post and then they left on their own. So it was kind of a weird manipulation.
Yeah.
It was a public tantrum is what it was.
Yeah.
But anyway, I don't want to beat it to death. The point is they didn't know any better, right? And I didn't do that publicly either, by the way. I did that in private.
Yeah.
I private messaged them, hey, this isn't something we normally do. And I didn't remove their stuff. I was just kind of leaving it there for a conversation to happen around it. Because for me, that's an educational moment. All the other new pagans can see that and be like, okay, I thought that the 9 Noble Virtues were fine. Right?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, there's some people on there that have been on there for a long time and they're like, oh, well, I didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah. When I started, I thought the 9 Noble Virtues were great. It kind of went along with the 14 leadership traits in the military. It seemed very, very codified, right? And when you're in a religion like this, you kind of seek structure and organization. That's why we form Kindred, so that we can have a group of other people who kind of think the same way. So we can organize and have some kind of structure, right? But as the greater community, since there is none, you seek it out. And that was one of those things that's structured and organized. And that's why it exists. It's basically a dollar store version of the 10 Commandments, because you're leaving Christianity and you have these 10 rules to live by. So it's like, oh, we're going into paganism. Oh, cool. I got 10 rules to live by. Whew, at least I know the rules, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So it feels comfortable. It really does, especially when you're trying to make that transition, when you're trying to unlearn Christianity. Sometimes you just have to take things on faith, right? And build your practice, and then you research things as you go, right? Think of it as like a big 20-pointed star. Okay, this is the faith laying in front of me. It's a big, giant 20-pointed star. And I say, okay, well, I'm going to research this star, and I'm going to take the other things on faith for now. All these other points. And I'm like, okay, well, my focus right now is on learning the gods. So all this other stuff I'll take on faith that it's good, right? And that includes the symbolism, the terminology, the 9 Noble Virtues, and all this other. I'll take that on faith.
Okay.
And then now that I kind of know the gods and their stories, now I'm going to worry about ritual. That's one more point. And I'm still taking all that other stuff on faith, but I have to be willing to unlearn things as I go. So when I get to the point where I'm starting to learn the symbols, and I'm like, oh no, I've been using these symbols. Oh no, I've been using these documents. You got to be willing to change with the new education. But at the same time, you can't just look at the new pagan and be like, because you did this, you are now in that other group. Well, that's the best way to push them into the other group.
Bringing this back to Asatru Global, I mean, over the last 30 years, we didn't really see anybody taking charge in a religion actually being built.
No, we've seen a couple organizations come and go, and there's still a few around, decent organizations, good organizations. There's some bad ones and there's some good ones. Any bad ones or good ones, they've all been through these various leadership changes, and none of them can ever agree on any kind of a structure or anything, right? Nobody can agree on anything. I think it's time that we create some kind of structure, and structure doesn't have to be dogma. You can have structure and not take away the individual's like special relationship to the gods or autonomy, right? It's not like It doesn't have to be like Christianity. Like the only way to get to God is to go through the preacher, right?
Right.
Like the only way to get to God is to go through the preacher. You can go pray at home if you feel like it, but it doesn't get you to God. What gets you to God is a handful of dollar bills. And
You went there, did you?
I did. No, I'm just goofing around, but the authority to communicate with the God still belongs with the individual.
Yes.
And that's there. Everybody is an autonomous connection, and it's to the land spirits, to their ancestors, and to the gods. The only thing that their leadership should be able to do is help foster that connection, not to in any way get in between it. Right.
Right.
Even when I conduct bloat, the idea of me conducting bloat isn't that I'm the connection between my kindred and the gods. I simply open the gate and facilitate the communication. Right. I'm the switchboard operator. I am not the phone line itself.
Right.
I'm just the person there that says, all right, this is what we're doing.
But every single one of our kinsmen, they're fully capable of opening that line on their own.
Oh,
too.
They do it themselves. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But they didn't know how to do that when we got together.
No, they didn't. They didn't.
So what we've done is collectively we've developed our structure based on Gallahorn's structure and the stuff that we learned from Gully Hawken. And then we've evolved that. And some of the things that we do that we've worked into our practice have changed Gully Hawken's practice. Mm-hmm. And he was practicing long before we ever came on the scene.
Yep.
But he's not so rigid in it that he can't accept any kind of change. In fact, he loves it. He loves new ideas and running those down.
And I will say, like our kinsmen, they really love structure.
Yeah, they do. Well, they're all military guys too, mostly.
They are. They love the structure, but they love new things, and they love surprises and just a new way of doing it. It's like, well, we're going to do bloat this way. Oh, okay, but we're still going to do bloat, right? We're still going to do this, this, and this, and this. And it's like, oh, yeah, but we're just going to mix these pieces around. And they're like, oh, yeah, let's do that.
Yeah, in fact, we did that last gathering, didn't we? We mixed up
did.
bloat. We mixed up the way that we did it. And, we've got different ways we can do it where we have Godi and Gija, where one is leading and one is helping, or both are leading, right? Or the other is leading and helping, or we can each do it individually without a helper. So we've developed these things, these structures. And I think the community can benefit from that, from having some basic structure for which they can go forth and develop their own personal way. So over the last 30 years, we didn't see religion being built at all. What we saw was hobby clubs, internet cults, and a bunch of LARPing chaos. Meanwhile, the real people that needed the spiritual grounding and pastoral care and religious leadership are just left holding the bag. They don't have anything. There's no leadership. Even in larger organizations, there's like one guy that isn't willing to help anybody, right? Because we faced that when Gallahorn Kindred was a member of the Asatru Alliance.
Right.
And I tried to get Valgard Murray's help with getting some sort of a structural outline that I could take to my chaplains so that I could get not only Asatru put on my dog tags, but also not have a prayer said over my corpse if I died overseas. I've got 7 deployments. Like the probability was there that I was not coming home. So I would like that it's done correctly and my corpse would have come home and, my Godi could have handled it. I would like to have had to have a Thor's hammer on my tombstone if I'm buried in a national cemetery. Those things are all happening now, but they're happening because of the work of individuals, not because any one organization really leaned hard into it. It's a lot of individuals doing a lot of little things. And if we can consolidate that under one banner that says, we are Asatru, we're not going anywhere. We've never gone anywhere. We've always lived underground. Now we're coming back up and there's nothing you can do about it except us. We get a seat at the table now.
Yep.
We get to sit with the Catholics and the Protestants and the Muslims and the Jews, and we get to sit down there with them and be like, no, that doesn't serve our people. You serve your people, we'll serve our people. And this is where our lines divide. And this is where our missions are the same, where we want to help our people. We want to have that pastoral care. We want to be able to counsel. We want to be able to do these life ceremonies for people like baptisms and births and namings and marriages, and even counsel people through divorces and separations too, because we have laws on books for that, right?
We do. Yeah.
If you look at about all the the relationship between the ministry of these Christian religions and their people was all formed by pagans, right? It didn't start with them. They didn't start these laws or these formations, and these civilization was created by pagans, is what I'm saying, right? Before the white Christ took over and created this order out of chaos, there was already order out of chaos, and it was pagan peoples respecting one another's autonomy, privacy, property, right? How long did it take before women's rights were a real thing, right? Because they had them in the Viking Age to a point. We can debate that, right?
Right.
But at least women could sue for divorce. They could own property, right? They could take their stuff back. They could take their dowry back. There was a lot of rights that they had in a time period when other people didn't have those rights. So all of this civilization was born of us pagan barbarians, you know. We started that. They took it. They took that model and grew from it. So we don't really owe them anything in that respect.
Right.
But they owe us at least the space to police our own.
Yeah, I mean, it almost feels kind of like we have to ask permission now. We have to ask permission from our bosses and permission from our chaplains and permission, you know, for the DRGLs. And we have to ask permission from all these people
to do our own thing. Yeah.
To do our thing.
Because we're not united, right?
No.
There's a point, people started coming to us and they were asking us for guidance. Hey, how do I do a funeral? How do I do these rites of passage? You know, what do I do for crisis help? Hey, my dad died and he's a Christian. How do I honor him in our way? You know,
I mean,
or my son died and he was a pagan and I don't know how to honor him at a funeral.
Yeah,
right?
Sadly, we get a lot of that. Even other groups and kindreds were coming to us asking these questions.
Right.
Not just individuals.
Yeah. And so they shouldn't have to, those resources should be available to them. And we've tried, like we put some, you know, I put out some downloads and stuff for a couple bucks. I'm sorry, I have to charge for them because, you know, I got to fund the site. Right.
Right.
So, but I put those things out. There are funeral rites there, and you can either do them word for word off of my stuff, or you can take the outline, which is my suggestion, take the outline and then run with it. And we'll put a link to our link tree. And then if you go to our link tree, that'll take you everything and go to our website, and there'll be some downloads there that you can download for those kinds of things. But who else is doing it? Who else is giving it away? Right.
Nobody that I know of.
Technically it's hidden behind a paywall because it costs a couple of bucks, but I mean, it's a couple of bucks. It's not like you got to join the organization, exist in here for 6 months, and then we can give you access to our documentation. There's none of that. Yeah. It's just like, hey, if you need it, there it is.
Yeah.
There it is. You know, tip your maker, I guess. I guess that's what it is.
Toss a coin to your witcher kind of thing.
Yeah. Toss a coin to your witcher. Yeah, because, you know, the individuals basically were just seeking something that was kind of stable and organized, and we seemed to look like that's what was going on. And we are stable and organized. We have the structure that we need to administer pastoral advice. I know I keep using that term, but I think it's the right term.
I think it's the right term too.
So we have the structure to do that for our people.
Right. But there did come like this moral fork in the road. Like there was this point where it was just, which way are we going to go?
Yeah. Are we going to stay comfortable and just run the Northwoods Kindred as a kindred? Or are we going to do the uncomfortable thing and create Asatru Global and try to help other people? And believe me, it's uncomfortable because there's some name calling going on, right?
There is, yeah.
So, but I mean, that's all noise. That's all just noise in the background from talkers, not from doers, right?
Yeah.
So they talk a good game and they bark loud and say you're doing this and tell me you're Greg Locke without telling me you're Greg Locke.
Yeah, I remember that one you got.
Yeah, and I was like, what the hell are you talking about? Greg Locke? What? You're trying to grift. What? I didn't ask anybody for any money. I'm just telling people we're creating this thing to help people out. So there's that. And that's, you know, that's not really even unexpected anymore in the community. Ignorance is bliss, I suppose.
Yeah. We made the switch in our mind to put more weight into those that give us good comments
Mhm.
and good interaction to the bad, because most people put a lot of weight into the bad ones, and we're trying to
And that's
at least balance it out.
easy to do too. It's real easy to put a lot of weight in the bad one. It's like
Especially when you're already in a bad place from, like you had a bad day at work
yeah,
or yeah.
Well, also, it's a human thing anyway. It's like it or not, we all have our own issues, right?
Mhm.
The way we, negative self-talk,
Yes.
depression, anxiety, like those at some level they happen in everybody.
Mhm.
And I am definitely not immune from that. But when you're in one of those modes where you're in a cycle of negative self-talk and a cycle of depression, and maybe you had a few failures in life, like in life outside of all of this, and then somebody comes in and says, "You're a piece of shit." You're like, "I am a piece of shit. I'm sorry."
Yeah.
You really internalize that, and it gets really heavy. When it shouldn't be, when you should really internalize the lift up, but it's just hard to do, right? And that's one of the things that a pastor should be able to help you through. Should be able to
Right.
say, "Hey, listen, you got to narrow your focus. This is just the universal intelligence putting obstacles in your way so that you have something great to overcome.
Yeah.
So go overcome it."
Yeah.
Right.
And this is also, going back to new pagans teaching newer pagans. I mean, you never know where they're at. So this is, you don't necessarily want to be that one that breaks them.
Yeah.
You don't know what their mindset is, and
right, or what they just went through.
yep.
Yeah.
And they're reaching out for a little bit of community and conversation, and then to get reprimand. So that's really hard. It's a hard space to go as,
And especially as a
leadership.
new pagan too, because for one, I don't know if it's something in the water or what, but people are definitely more sensitive now. They have less tolerance for other individuals, regardless of how they preach peace and love and, coexistence. They have less tolerance for people that are outside their own little social circle, which are getting smaller and smaller.
Mhm.
And the evidence of that is that it's been Asatru and maybe like Norse pagan,
Mhm.
right, since the early 1970s. And then all the way through the 90s, most everybody was either a Norse pagan or Asatru, and some used Odinist, right?
Right.
And then bust into the 2001, 2015, and all of a sudden, boom, Asatru, Vanatru, Rakatru. But the point was that everybody is subdividing.
Yeah.
If you ask me, Asatru, Rakatru, Vanatru, Lokatru, it's all the same. It's all based on the same mythology.
Yeah.
Right. We don't have there's no more stories coming out. Nobody's found a Dead Sea Scrolls with all of the Norse myths on them that says, that's where it all fits together. Like that hasn't happened yet. So we're all basing it off the same information. And then people are, I only worship the Vanir. Well, I only worship the Aesir. One can't exist without the other.
Yeah.
It's like, one can't exist without the other, they just can't.
Mhm.
Well, I only breathe the air inside my room. Well, I only breathe the air outside my house. Okay.
Yeah.
Like, good luck with that. You got to hold your breath when you run outside to check the mail and run back in. It's the same air. We're breathing the same air,
Yeah.
right? It's all coming from the same place. If we're subdividing it down, it's only because we need to have this micro need to feel more important or more special or more different. And that's why we can't come together as a community behind the religion, because everybody's version of it is different. Why can't we just practice independently, but agree on some structure that makes it more accessible to new people? Because that's the main problem, is new people come in and it's not accessible to them anymore, right? What we have in the Northwoods Kindred is we have a real religious community.
Yes.
It's a bunch of
100%.
individuals that come together for whatever reason. We come together for our gatherings, for a ritual or kinship or whatever, a hunting trip, help somebody move.
It's a place for serious heathens to come gather. Like, we're doing real heathen.
And we learn. We come together and we question each other and we learn new stuff. It's a stable tribe and a supporting environment, and we look out for each other, right?
Yeah.
We got a kinsman who lives off grid, right? And he has to basically carry his water. Like, you heard, like, you don't know how heavy water is till you have to carry it yourself, right? And he had the big 55-gallon plastic drum for his water. Well, we happened to find one at Goodwill. So I bought him a plastic drum and I was like, here, man, I just doubled your water supply, because that's what kinsmen do.
Yeah.
Right. That's what kinsmen do. They help each other out in a nice supporting environment, and
And that's what we have is it's reciprocity, hospitality, and accountability through the whole process of the Northwoods Kindred. That's just how we function with each other. In addition to just basic coming together for our spiritual connection. And people see that and they want to be a part of that.
They do.
Right.
They really do. And it's really hard when you have to, tell them, well, you got to be local to start. And,
yeah, I don't have to do that. But.
I don't like doing that either. And then it's like, well, we have to meet and we have to do coffee. And it takes a long time to get within these walls.
Yeah. Yeah. And then even sometimes they do, people come in and come to a gathering and it's like, we're going to let the air cool for a while because it even says in the Havamal, right? Hotter than fire burns for 5 days, but on the 6th, fire wins out. And the path to a true friend's home is, clear, even though it's a long way off. And the path to a false friend's home is overgrown with weeds. Right. Yeah. So we kind of take that stuff seriously. And it's like, if we get too excited about a new member, like they're everything we want, right? They're perfect, then it's like, take a break.
Yep.
Take a break. Don't have them over for a couple of months because we have to let the air cool, right? And then get a good feel. And that has saved us from a lot of heartbreak because anytime we've ever jumped too fast, it hasn't worked out.
Yeah, and this is where Kinsman will jump in with the structure and be like, we
have a plan here.
We wrote this down. You have to wait 3 months now. And it's like, but you guys.
And then you got Ryther, and Ryther's like, it took me 2 years to get into this kindred. We're not letting someone in that fast, right?
Yep.
He's like, he's like the regulator now. So,
but yeah, they love their structure. But they love new people. But I think they also take a little bit of joy when they can kind of
flex their
be like, we talked about this.
Yeah.
And it's like,
but these people are so great. And they're like, nope. Never works out. And I was like, okay. Because I don't really run this kindred. All I do is walk us out to blow. No, this kindred is run by the kindred. So, but what we're not though is we're not a cosplay club. We dress sometimes. But there's never a requirement to dress. There's never no play. We know some cosplay clubs, right, around, and they're cool, and we like to hang out and play with them. But that's not what we are.
Right.
Right. We're certainly not a political cult.
Nope.
And I'll tell you what, we have just within our little bubble, we have people who have protested on both sides of the street.
Yes. We
have people who have been in Antifa and people who have absolutely been MAGA to the nines. And I don't give what you think about politics. It does not work in this kindred. It has
a hate group.
Nothing to do with our spirituality.
No, we're not a hate group.
And I'm telling you, we have members of both of those two descriptions and everything in between because politics has never been the dividing line in this kindred. And it shouldn't be in our community. But unfortunately, it is. Right? People are, and they get on us about it too because they're like, you can't have religion without politics. Well, yes, you can, because Northwoods Kindred functions perfectly without it. The more that you feed these people, the more that they grow.
Yeah.
Right? If you don't allow them in your world, then they don't belong in your world. Here's the deal. I guess I've probably said this before, is that you don't have to destroy all the racist communities in order to build something better. If I'm an engineer and the city hires me to build a building, right?
Right.
Like, we want the most beautiful structure in the whole city, right? We want the best structure ever, right? You have to build it.
Gotta be huge.
It's got to be huge. I got two options. I can build a shack and level every other building, and then it's the most amazing building in town, right?
Right.
Or I can put my effort into building the absolute most amazing building in town. Those are the two things you can do. They both require the same effort. The effort to engineer and build the best structure, or the effort to engineer the infrastructure to destroy everything else. And Northwoods Kindred has been proving it the whole way.
I mean, this is, what Asatru Global is going to be about. This is going to be about maturity and commitment and, having a legacy for our children and new people to this path. Like something that people can be drawn to.
That was the point I was trying to get to.
Yeah. I just threw a name on it. Like, this is Asatru Global. Like, this is.
Yeah, that's the point is that's why Northwoods Kindred can't be enough.
Yeah.
because it's not built for that. It was never designed for that. And we can't just keep stacking on top of it because we didn't build the foundation correctly for that.
Yeah.
Whereas Asatru Global has the concrete foundation that's meant to build that high-rise building, right?
Yeah.
Northwoods Kindred will always just operate as a roadside stand, right?
Peddling our on the
Peddling
side.
our on the side, yeah. So, but yeah, I mean, through our interactions with the internet and with the people and with our Discord and everything, at some point it stopped being about us locally, right?
Yeah.
People needed information.
Yeah, the need wasn't local anymore.
Right. The call wasn't small either. It started out small. It started out local. But the problem that we have isn't a regional problem.
No.
It's not a local problem. It's a problem that's national and really, truthfully, global.
Yeah. Yeah, the people reaching out weren't just in the Northwoods. They were coming from all over the place, and not just the country, but the world.
Yeah. Yeah, all over the place. You know, and we're represented on that on our Discord because the Discord represents, I don't know, a half dozen countries, you know, people from all over the place.
You know, that's one of the things with the survey that we did. There's so many people from all around the world that took our survey.
Yeah. So if you don't know about it, we'll put an extra link there to our survey. So when we started to build the structure for Asatru Global, we put together this survey. We had a lot of big brains working on it. It wasn't just us. In fact, we did the least amount of work on it. So the idea with the survey is that when we start working our outreach for Asatru Global, we know where to focus our very limited resources. You know, we got a little bit, we got some Patreon resources, but they're still very limited. So those resources need to get focused, and we got to get it niched down to exactly what the community wants first. And it's looking like they really want clergy, clergy training, possibly like a welcome to Asatru or an intro to Asatru course, and then clergy training. And there are other people that do clergy training, but they only recognize their own clergy.
Right.
There's at least 3 organizations I can think of right now, outside of those that we don't want to mention, that train clergy and certify Godar for their organization, but they don't cross-recognize anybody. But if we can build a course and then talk to these other organizations, and we all kind of agree that the structure is something that works for us, then we can still have our own, you know, internal training. But if everybody can agree on it, then we can start recognizing each other's clergy. And I think that that's a major step forward, right? Because if Asatru wants to be globally recognized as something that's more than just a fringe cosplay pseudo religion, then it has to be organized like something, right? It has to have some kind of organization and some sort of a reciprocity agreement with other good, non-nefarious organizations within it. That's part of the reason why we started Asatru Global, right? I mean,
yeah, we want to build competent clergy and you know, bring community together and
competent clergy as well.
Yeah.
Ritual competency and competent clergy at the same time, and offer pastoral care too, like that,
which I think is huge.
That's part of being competent clergy is having pastoral care.
I mean, you and I both still go to our Gothi. You know, there's a lot of times where we're checking in with him, and you know, he checks in with us too.
Yeah.
There's definitely a reciprocity there, you know, like he's looking at us as his Gothi and we're looking at him as our Gothi, and it's like,
we need each other.
It's an interesting balance now, you know?
Yeah. Cause we're all seem to be going through something, but we're kind of yin and yang right now with Hawken. So as we're going through it, he's there to support us, and then now he's going through it and we're there to support him.
Yeah.
It's really cyclic. And I think that as a religious community, we should be able to do that for each other. But instead, I mean, at least use TikTok as a metric. And there's, I mean, it's a battleground. And then it's weird because 2 people will be ganging up on one person, and then one person, they'll have a fight and they'll split and they'll go to the other person, and those 2 will gang up on the person that they were just friends with. And it's like, what the hell's happening over here? We're supposed to be trying to build a community. And that's really a big reason why we've walked.
Yeah. And here comes Northwoods, just showing a little bit of our ritual.
It's like, oh, hey.
Or here's our burning sun wheel.
Oh yeah.
We
Here's
just
our
had
little
Yule.
thing we did. Yeah.
Yeah. We don't play those politics.
Yeah. And we just try to do the work. And, you know, we're going to get it wrong sometimes. You know, we're trying to build the theology with integrity from a practical, functional perspective from people who actually do it, right? Other religions have their theologies, right? So,
Mm-hmm.
you know, their people within their religion are learning how to structure, how to organize, and how to represent their paths accurately. And, you know, the proof of that is how many times has the Bible been rewritten, right?
Right.
So we have our own theology. The problem is we can't agree on any of it.
Right.
So there has to be at least some common threads through all of that we can agree on, build a practice around, and then leave the door open for people to improve it.
Right. Yeah. I mean, we want to learn how to support kindreds and individuals, not control them,
Yeah,
but give them
sure.
the structure and the guidance that they're looking for.
Yeah, and we can do that by establishing ethical standards for clergy members.
Mm-hmm.
Because how many times do you hear about, some pseudo Gothi or somebody wearing that title extorting sexual favors from a member of their supposed kindred, because that's how they connect to it's the most disgusting, ridiculous thing I've ever heard.
That's horrible.
And people fall for it because they don't know, especially if they got here from Christianity and they were sexually assaulted or abused in that side of the house too.
Mm-hmm.
Eventually people are just going to turn away from the gods altogether and go into private spirituality, which is okay.
Yeah.
But it shouldn't.
It's lonely.
It's okay if people go into private spirituality. I think that's okay. I think we all kind of live in that space sometimes anyway, but you shouldn't be forced into that space and away from community because of predatorial behavior. Right.
Right.
And that's the biggest thing with me with trying to work on how to establish some sort of a Gothi curriculum is that I don't care if you know the lore,
Yeah.
I don't care if you know the saga of Ragnar Lothbrok. I don't care if you know all the standards in the Logreta or the law codes. I don't care about any of that shit. That kind of stuff is easy enough to reference. What I care is, can you treat people right? Can you guide people that are having issues, right? Can you hold a ritual, not to my standard, but can you just do a ritual? Because I think it's essential.
Yeah.
Dumping out a Red Bull to Thor is okay in the moment, but it doesn't provide for the ritual needs of your people.
Yeah.
Right. People need ritual. If people didn't need ritual, we wouldn't still be doing it. Right.
Right.
We wouldn't. People don't need horses to get to work anymore. So people don't have horses to get to work anymore because we don't need it anymore, but we still need ritual.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the way I look at it.
And people need structure. They want to pretend they don't, but everybody likes a nice list. Like, who doesn't make a grocery list or a Yule list or, a food list, menu
to-do list,
a
honey-do
list. Yeah. There's all these lists. So there's all this focal point for structure.
Which is sort of the attraction to, like we were talking to earlier, with something like the 9 Noble Virtues.
Yes.
So, but we can have structure without the dogma of, the Dollar General, 10 Commandments. So, but which we need to remove the racism and extremism as the dominant visual from the public perspective too.
Yeah.
Because if you were to go on Tucker Carlson and talk with some chaplain about the Asatru side, all he would do is pull all the racist off the internet.
Yeah.
Because that's what the public sees, because that's all we're talking about.
And sadly, most of the leadership cannot articulate it well.
Right. Yeah, we're seeing some of that.
Yeah.
Well, because they're cults of personality.
Yeah.
There's a lot of educated people that are doing content, but they still get sucked into the magneticism of getting into a conflict with a racist, tiny rabbit hole.
Yeah, go for it.
Okay. The biggest thing I don't understand is why people can call someone, if someone says they're not a racist, I mean, I get that some people are just cowards and they're just afraid to say it while they do racist things. But by and large, that's not everybody. By and large, the racists are happy to be racist. They're happy of it and they're proud of it, and they will not hide behind social credibility or social norms to hide the fact that they're racist. They're upfront with it, right?
Yes.
The racists that I've come in contact with, the trashy parts of the back dark corners of our religion, those people are not shy about it.
Yeah.
They're not shy in my YouTube comments either about coming up and saying that I'm all these things, I mean, I usually delete the comments because there's no reason to give them air.
Right.
but other people thrive on being able to engage with them. You're not changing anybody's mind. You're not changing anybody's mind. All we can do is build something that we're proud of.
Yeah.
And not try to change somebody else's something. They'll never be anything.
Yeah.
Right. They're never going to amount to anything with that kind of an attitude and that kind of an outlook on the world.
Right.
I mean, if you think about it, it's all ridiculous anyway, because if you think about how many species of living creature are on this planet, millions, right? Humans are the only ones with this level of we're not that different from each other.
No.
You know, in fact, we're not even that different from a ape.
Nope.
Right?
Yep.
That's only just a couple of little points of DNA, just minor differences between the smartest ape and the dumbest human. Right?
Right.
In DNA wise, but culturally, it's the gap is just phenomenal. Right?
Yeah.
Like the smartest ape and the dumbest human aren't even in the same league when it comes to intelligence.
Mm-hmm.
So we are something special, and we're not 4 or 5 or 6 million different types of special. We're all the same type of special, right? We're all the same thing. Just come in different packages, you know?
Yeah.
Anyway, rant over. Okay. I'll go back.
You got it.
Okay. But my point was, I just don't understand it.
Yeah.
And it takes, even in our conversation, it just took too much energy.
Yeah. You look a little exhausted now.
And the goal is to build something better, right?
Mm-hmm.
So Asatru Global isn't like just our next brand.
Yeah. No.
It's not like Northwoods Kindred's a brand, and now we're going to brand Asatru Global. It's going to be the beginnings of a religious infrastructure. And if you don't like infrastructure and you don't like what it looks like and you don't want to be a part of it, then we're not the same religion.
Yeah.
That's okay.
Asatru Global is, it's Asatru. It's going to be the Norse gods. And, but there's room for others. Like, everybody is welcome to come hang out with us, but we are Asatru.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
We're going to do bloats to Thor and Odin and Frey and Frigga, and we're going to do bloats like that, and we're going to do rituals to them, and we're going to structure our rituals around them. But if you can look at that and you can say, hey, I can use that in my Luciferian practice.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
If I can use it, I don't
Take
care. Take it. Just don't tell me how to do what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And I won't tell you how to do what you're doing. But when it comes to our communities, that's not what we're discussing. We're discussing Thor and Odin and Frigga and Freya. And if you can get something from that discussion that benefits you on a completely different path, that's entirely up to you. You are free to disassociate from the community all you want, right? But your freedom to disassociate should not be used to take away from other people that really want to be part of a greater community. They want to have this identity to belong to. There's room for everyone.
Yeah.
As long as your will isn't trying to be imposed on someone else.
Well, there's plenty of organizations out there that cater to multiple different paths.
Yeah.
And ours is going to be a little bit more focused.
Yeah. So if you want like serious Asatru heathenry, you're in the right place. If you want like super eclectic stuff, pop on in, borrow what you need.
Mm-hmm.
And just don't try to change what we got going on here, right? If you want to join the community and be a part of something bigger, we're here for that too. Unfortunately, right now we don't have a model for what that looks like.
No, but we're working on it.
We're working on some sort of a membership model. We just don't know how to do it. We've never had an organization like that with a membership model. We don't know how to consolidate a membership, how to support a membership, or how to run it, because all of our members are physical creatures,
right?
Who meet in person, hug, kiss, share food.
Yep.
And
we're also trying to do this, working 8 hours a day and 40 hours a week and making dinner and fixing vehicles. There's so much going on that, it's taken a little time, but I think the longer it takes to get where we need to be, the stronger our foundation will be once we get there.
Yeah, I think this isn't something to rush. It's been 50 years Asatru's been in America. If we take another year or 6 months before we start really building our foundation to build it correctly, I think that the community is patient enough to wait for that, because it really doesn't have a choice.
Yeah.
We've just been floundering for 50 years and everybody's screaming, I do it my way. Fine, do it your way, but you're not the same religion as me.
Yeah.
Because I do it my way, but I want structure.
Mhm.
right? And people come to me that want structure, especially military, prison,
Mhm.
those kind of chaplaincies that need it. And I was really reluctant to be involved with the prisons at all. But then I look around and it's like some of the worst stuff in Asatru came out of the prison ministry. Why can't we go back and fix it from the source?
Right.
You know, I'm not saying we can go in there and hail Odin and solve the problem of prison violence and racism in prisons and racial gangs. We're not going to solve any of that mess, but we can lay the seeds, lay the foundation for the religion that's culturally universal, right? I don't know how to really say it, but there's plenty of people in prison who are Christians, right?
Right.
Blacks, whites, Hispanics, Asians, they're in prison and they're all Christians, right? Now, they may not practice together, but they're still Christians. They understand that Christianity isn't culturally specific to any one group in the prison, right?
Right.
Asatru should be the same way.
Right. You should.
You know, and even if it's not within the walls, it's not the same way. They can at least understand it fundamentally. So when they come out, they don't try to apply those separatist rules to the outside world.
Mm-hmm.
There's always going to be people that do, but we can stop a lot of it at the source. Yeah. So if you haven't already, hey, wherever you're consuming this, subscribe. All right. Because we're on YouTube. We're on all kinds of podcasting platforms, right? We're everywhere.
Yep.
So
I think I'm leaving that in there.
Yeah, go ahead. I don't care. Yeah, go ahead and subscribe to us. And jump down in the show notes because we put some links in there. You probably heard us mention them, so we're not going to mention it again.
Nope.
So before we get to the wrap up, I wanted let's talk about some of the objections. We probably already covered them, right? So there are some objections in the community, and one of them is, isn't this just another group trying to control heathenry? Is that what Asatru Global is, or Northwoods Kindred?
No, it's not about control. It's about support.
Yeah.
It's all about supporting our people on their path, whatever that path looks like, and educating them on Asatru globally.
Yeah, because we're not even trying to own communities. Like,
no.
How do we even do that?
No.
How do you even own communities?
We have a hell of a time, enough of a time with our kinsmen.
Yeah, it's hard enough just to manage our own kindred.
Yeah.
I don't want anything to do with the day-to-day operations of another kindred.
But we do want to connect to them and
yeah, for sure.
Get them in touch with others in their area.
Yeah, and we want them to be healthy, and ethical.
Yep.
Ethical clergy.
Ethical
and
is super important.
And supported with training, with resources, right? With other kindreds, maybe local moots and gatherings. All of those things are possible if we can just stop, sleep on it or breathe on it before you make that comment, right? Before you start harassing people online, let's just take a breath, right? And understand that either we're all in it for the same reasons or we're different religions. Both civilian and military communities need support. We're already helping military communities, but I can do that because those military communities aren't online, right?
Yeah.
I can help them. I can work with their leadership. It's very satisfying, and it's morally and ethically good the way that we do it, because I'll get a contact from a person who needs a recommendation to become a DRGL, and I'm like, hey, we're just a small kindred in North Idaho. Like, I don't have any authority to do that. Now I do. So now I'm like, yeah, I'll write you a letter. Talk to me on the phone for a little while. Text with me. Let's have a conversation.
One of the other questions we kind of get and people ask is, is this just another ego-driven organization that you're just going to grift off the community?
Grift off the community. That's a big one. Yes. Who's grifting off the organization? Well, the only thing that, it doesn't matter what you say. I can say we're not going to grift off. That's not what we're about. We have a track record. We've been here for 5 years, and we haven't asked anybody for money or taken advantage of anyone. Those that are screaming the loudest are generally trying to shield the fact that they're grifting.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
They're like, you're going to be a grifter. Well, you worried I'm going to take some of your market share? What are you concerned about? Right.
Yeah.
So the only thing you can do is sit and wait. And, and if you don't agree with the things that we do, and there will be fees for things.
There's definitely going to be fees. I mean, and if you can't understand that as a community, then I think you're a little bit out of touch. If we are building this global organization, there's going to be things, and we're going to need volunteers, and we're going to need, funding and grants and this kind of stuff. And how are we going to get it?
And
we don't know
donations,
yet.
And we have to sell products, and nobody complains about buying a Metallica t-shirt at a Metallica concert for $75.
Yeah, I was going to say a way overpriced Metallica
for
t-shirt.
a t-shirt, right? But if you put out an Asatru Global t-shirt and it's $20, they're like, those things only cost $16 to make. How dare you gouge us for $4? And it's like, you can't make everybody happy.
No, you can't.
So we're not going to try to make everybody happy. We are going to push forward. We're going to build a foundation, and we're going to do what we have to do. And if you want to call us a grifter, you can. But the real litmus test is, what are you doing? What are you building? Because if you build something, we'll help you. We'll support you. If you're not building anything, then you're just noise trying to tear us down, and we're just not going to play the game. We played it too long. We learned the rules of the game, and we're just going to keep on. We're going to ignore you just like we ignore any other buddy that are trying to tear us down, because the object here isn't to take from anyone. It's only to give. And really, the truth is, we're a 501c3 organization, right? I don't know how some of these organizations get by as long as they do, actually paying CEOs millions of dollars and doing those. I don't know how I don't know how these 501c, the amount of paperwork and government oversight on a 501c3 is ridiculous. It's the amount of eyes prying into your business. I don't know how people get, they got to use some really savvy lawyers. We ain't got none of that, right? We're not smart enough to grift off of a 501c3. We're barely smart enough to build it. So, but we know Asatru, and we know how to make that work. So that's where we're going to go. Anyway, if that doesn't answer the question, there is no answer for the question. You know what I mean? At least there's no justifiable answer anybody's going to like. We'll probably wrap it up with one more. Why do we formalize heathenry? Isn't it supposed to be wild and free? Right. That's one of the things. It's like, it's supposed to be my way. It's like Burger King, like have it your way, heathenry. Right. It's not like McDonald's where you got to order what's on the menu. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah. But we're creatures that just kind of want community, and we want that herd mentality. Like, do you really just want to be on your hill all alone? And yeah, you're wild and free, but you don't got nobody to share with.
Yeah.
Like, that's kind of sad.
Yeah. You don't get to share it with anybody.
Yeah.
Freedom without community isn't really freedom. No. It's isolation.
Yeah.
Right.
It's loneliness.
Isolation isn't freedom.
We did it when going back to the beginning, when Gallahorn spread all over the country. We had the freedom to practice however we wanted, but we were lonely.
And we missed the community of it all.
So we built our own.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah.
True. Yeah. And, I made the same I used to teach survival. Right. And, I wrote for a lot of magazines, and Survival Quarterly magazine, and I wrote for Recoil magazine and American Survival Guide.
Backwoods.
Yeah. So I wrote for a whole bunch of different magazines and stuff, and kind of stuff within the survival community, nothing recent. And so one of the points that I try to make a lot was, what are you building your bunker for? Right. For you and 4 people to live out the end of times for 20 years in a hole in the ground. Go die, like life is over at that point. Why even maintain it? Why maintain it in a box? Right. So we're not building the box when we structure it. We're actually living outside. We're living in the open with other people and enjoying it. You build the box when you consolidate everything down into your own way, to this nice, tight little thing. And you can't venture outside your own little tiny way of doing every little tiny thing, right? You can't share it with anybody. You can't build community around it, because every time you have something in common with somebody, you sever that connection by, now it's not Asatru, now it's just Rocketru. Now I only honor these particular parts. Well, I'm Rocketru. Oh yeah, but I only honor these 3 giants, not the other one. And it's like, well, I honor them too. Yeah, but I only honor them dark, like after the sun sets,
I mean, it is that ridiculous sometimes.
It is, yeah.
It feels like
I know I'm being a little facetious about the whole thing, but it seems like they're people that are crying the loudest about there should be no structure are the same ones that will continue to subdivide it down, so they're the only one practicing their way. So I say to them, we're not the same religion.
Mm-mm.
Our religion requires some kind of structure, some semblance of order in order to be functional and in order to be valid on the world stage.
Yes.
And
that's the goal, right?
That's the goal, yeah. And then you can do whatever you want. You can call yourself Asatru and practice in your bubble, and that's perfectly fine. But you know what? It'll be recognized, and it won't be recognized as some racist, right-wing, conspiracy, separatist bullshit like it is now.
Mm-hmm.
It'll be recognized as a valid religion, culturally connected, spiritually grounded with trained clergy, that are ethical and properly ordained in the systems of that we develop collectively as a community, right?
Yeah,
it's in its infancy, but it has to happen. If it doesn't happen now, it's going to happen in 50 years.
Yeah,
right. If we're not doing it as people who've been on the path for 30 years, then those people that are coming on the path now will do it 30 years from now. Why don't we just give them a good foundation to work with?
Yeah,
because it's gonna happen. Like let go of this individuality thing now, and just understand that this is already on the world stage. Right. It's broke out of Scandinavia. It's not culturally anchored to Norway, Sweden, Denmark, and Iceland anymore. It's, or Germany or where.
Yeah.
It's not culturally anchored there anymore. There are people all over the planet. There are people in Muslim countries practicing Asatru in secret right now. I know that because I talked to them.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah,
that happened because they're afraid that they're going to get beheaded. Right. So because it's not real. Let's make it real. Let's help our brothers and sisters out around the world,
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. Another little rant.
Yep.
You tend to do that. You love it and you know it. So, yeah, I mean, I guess we can kind of wrap this up.
Yeah,
right?
I think so.
Anyway, that's where we're going. So we answered some major questions, which were.
Oh, you want me to go back?
No, I just want you to think. What were we've answered 2 major questions.
Who are Northwoods Kindred and what is Asatru Global?
How do I join Northwoods Kindred?
Oh.
And why did you start Asatru Global?
I was close.
You're close.
I was close.
You're right there. You got it. So, I love putting you on the spot. So anyway, that's where we're at with this one. So if you got something to say about us, if you got a counterpoint or whatever and you want to, contact us. Everything you need is down in the show notes in the description or whatever. If we forget anything, just follow the link tree, and the link tree will take you to everything we have on the net. Do we have any Asatru Global stuff on our link tree, or is it all Northwoods Kindred now?
Sorry. I don't think I have anything on Linktree, but at the end of the day, we have Northwoods Kindred at Gmail and Asatru Global at Gmail. Those are both ways to get
there you go.
To connect with us.
Yeah, that's good. So, I mean, you can yell at us, you can support us. It doesn't matter.
Don't yell at us. I don't like. You can yell at him.
At Go the Bodvar. You suck.
You got a little thicker skin than I do, Bibbs.
Yeah, well, that's comes from practice. So if you remember nothing else, just remember that people deserve competent leadership, right?
Mm-hmm.
Asatru deserves to mature on the world stage in front of everybody else. We deserve organizational structure, ethical, grounded, and ordained pastoral leadership. And last, our clergy deserves a seat at any table on the world stage that's making moral, ethical, or religious decisions that affect our communities. Period. Whether they're civilian or military in nature. If people are making decisions that affect us on moral, ethical, or religious grounds, we deserve to sit at that table and help make those decisions. Don't you agree?
Oh, yeah.
So ask yourself, where do you stand in this story? With Asatru Global, with Northwoods Kindred, with Asatru in general as a community, right? Are you a spectator? Are you a critic? Or are you a builder? Because we're builders, and that's what we're going to do. We're going to build something great, and we'd love to have you along for the ride. All right, that's it. We'll see you on the next one. Thor Vigi.
Thor Vigi.